everyone, welcome back to my Georgia garden. It is time to get in the garden and do some cleanup. This is my starting point today. It's a narrow flower bed along the edge of my property and where I have a developing screen of Podocarpus and arborvitae. And this is a camellia and azalea on the end. And this bed gets full hot sun all day long. While all the shrubs in this space are low maintenance, I do have one high maintenance item to deal with, and that is Bermuda grass. And if you can see here, I've kind of let this get out of control. The Bermuda grass is spreading all into the bed. I mean, you can look at this azalea and look at this. It's just full of Bermuda in here. It's all inside the center of the plant. And I mean, look at this. This Bermuda grass is over 2 feet tall. Bermuda grass is just a maintenance nightmare. It's not my lawn of choice, but this is what we inherited with our property when we moved in. And we're in an HOA. This is not something that can be changed, so this is just something I have to deal with. It requires a lot of maintenance, but in this case, I feel like it's worth it because to have this screen here and get some privacy on our porch, it's just nice to have. And this portion of the bed right here, I actually just planted in the fall. So the bed actually used to end about here, I think, maybe here. And then I added this whole section in the fall. So this area in particular is just going to be worse than the area that has been more established. So you can see there's not quite as much Bermuda grass penetration here because I've been keeping up with it, but now I just have to do a better job of dealing with this mess. Clearly this is the biggest maintenance item in this bed, so let's go ahead and get this taken care of. If you garden with Bermuda grass, you know how aggressive it is, especially in the full sun. It just loves the heat. You've probably also noticed that I have a Supertunia planted next to this azalea, and I can't remember the variety off the top of my head, but this is one of the new proven winners varieties for 2026. And so far it has done really well. But I know it's not appreciating this Bermuda grass getting up in its space. Look at this. I know they make metal edging that you can put down in the ground about 12 to 18 inches. And that is really the only way to help control this a little bit better. Because in the end, the Bermuda grass is just going to go where it wants to go. Bermuda grass is definitely one of the worst plants to garden with. It's high maintenance. It goes everywhere. It loves this fertile soil that I have been creating over here in the beds, and it does anything it can to get into this space. While I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and prune back this Supertunia. I remember the name now. This is Supertunia Mini Vista Pink Cloud. I love these pink flowers. They remind me of Supertunia Vista bubblegum, but on a smaller scale. Everyone talks about how Supertunias are heavy feeders. I personally do not use water-soluble fertilizer in my garden. I just plant my annuals in the springtime and let them grow. And that's just how I garden. Just to give some perspective, this plant has not been touched, it has not been fertilized, it has not been pruned since I put it in the ground back in April. So here we are 3 months later, and this is what Pink Cloud looks like with no additional fertilizer. So now is a great time to go ahead and trim this back to maybe give it a little bit of a tighter habit going into late summer. So you can see here it has already started to sprawl out a little bit. So I'm just going to go in here, whack it back, and this is really easy. It feels good too. It's just so satisfying to clean up the garden. And these are just really simple tasks that you can do that make a big difference. I'm sacrificing some of the flowers now, but it will flush back out very quickly. So this is an Encore Azalea that I added last fall, and it is already infested with lace bugs, unfortunately. So this is what the lace bug damage looks like. You've probably seen this before. The insects live on the backs of the leaves, so you have to be sure when you're treating this to get the backs of the leaves. You can see all the damage that the lace bugs have done, just sucking the sap out of the leaves here, and just look at that. The leaves get that speckling on them. It's not really pretty. And since this shrub is still trying to get established, I will probably come back with some neem oil or an organic spray that can help control the insects on this plant while it's trying to get established here during its first summer in the ground. And in the meantime, I'm going to come through and look for any dead limbs here that I can just prune out pretty quickly. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. See that right here? You can tell it's dead, you know, because there's no green in that stem right here. So it's pretty easy to see where the dead pieces are, especially on azaleas. I feel like they just stick out like a sore thumb. As I step back, you can already see that this is starting to look a lot better. I pruned back the Supertunia. You can tell the difference here, and trimmed back the Encore Azalea. All the dead growth is out of the plant. It looks a lot better now. And we got all the Bermuda out. So I can also come in here with my rake if I wanted to and just get some of the mulch out of the lawn. Try to clean up this edge a little bit. All right, so this area is all cleaned up, so we're just going to continue down the line. right, so I have a few more pieces of Bermuda grass to pull from this edge, and then that will be done. Thank goodness, because it's not my favorite garden task. Next, we're going to come over to my Podocarpus. This is Mackie Podocarpus, very common in the southeast, especially in the coastal Carolinas. This is just a great privacy shrub for narrow spaces. And look how narrow this plant is. It is growing in this 2.5 foot wide bed here against my fence and doing great. So what I'm trying to do here is create a hedge to give us some privacy on our porch. And what I will want to do here today is come through and cut off some of the spindly growth that might be going out in a direction that I don't want it to go. Like, for example, this one is kind of grown so much that it's just flopping over. So I need to cut this back and try to keep it in more of a tight habit here so it will stay full all the way to the ground and be a wonderful hedge going forward. I'm just going to look for any of those extra long branches that are flopping, and some of these shrubs are actually okay right now, so this will just take a few seconds. The first branch I'm going to take off is pretty obvious. It's this one right here. It's kind of growing out at a 90-degree angle in two different directions. So I'm just going to come back to where we have two sets of leaves here. See that? And I'm just going to cut right there. Get a sideways branch here. That one's a little floppy too. All right, so this one was coming out over the grass a little bit, so I did try to trim it back a little bit on this side, trying to help it fill in a little bit more on the back side there. Didn't cut too much off here. Again, I'm trying to create a hedge, but I just need to work on the shaping of this plant during its first few years in the ground. The rest of these look pretty great. This one didn't need anything. This one looks pretty good as well. Has a nice upright habit to it. And this one just has a lot of low growth at the bottom, but it looks like it's all headed in the right direction. I love this Kinsman Garden hand rake. It's just the perfect size for small jobs, like edging this flower bed. I guess it's not true edging because I'm not doing a whole trench and everything, but I am going ahead and cleaning up the mulch along the edge of the Bermuda grass. So it feels good. This whole bed is done. We have the Podocarpus cut back. We have all the Bermuda grass out. There were a few weeds in here as well. I cleaned up the edge, got the mulch out of the grass, and of course, cut back the Supertunias, addressed the issues with the Azalea, and it is all looking great. So thankfully, I don't need to give any supplemental water today. You can tell that my sun patients are looking happy here this morning. They are all perked up and looking great. They were a bit sad yesterday before the storm, but just looking beautiful here this morning. I can always tell when we've received some rain because the sun patients just really perk up. All right, so let's go ahead and see what's next. This is along the edge of my back porch. This bed is really beautiful. It's full of color along the edge of our back porch. I just love all the annuals that I put in here this year. I have the saucy red salvia from Southern Living next to a peach verbena from Proven Winners, a new variety of Supertunia called Cool Jazz, looking really pretty. I love that combination with the peach verbena. And then my flame phlox. This is a dwarf phlox that I absolutely love and I definitely recommend for your southern gardens. This one is so great because of its mildew resistance. I've actually never seen powdery mildew on this plant. Look how clean the foliage is, and it stays this way all season long. A little bit of Monarda back here. This one will get powdery mildew, and once it does that, I will typically prune this one to the ground. It's actually looking pretty good right now, so I'm probably not going to cut it back today, but I do know there are a few weeds in this bed that I need to remove. So let me show you. All right, so you can see here, I definitely have some weeds. Oh, these, yeah, look at these. They're already starting to flower, so I need to get these out. Some Bermuda grass. I actually lost a hellebore. That's interesting. These are actually really hardy down to zone 3. So, I mean, but look at that. That's, I don't know. Maybe it got too hot. I guess when you lose a plant, that's an opportunity. All right, so I cleaned up the weeds here and the Bermuda grass that was filling in along the edges here, and I think it looks a lot better already. I also decided to plant something else in this spot where I lost the hellebore. I just went with a heuchera. I had these in one of my containers and it wasn't overly thrilled with its location. I think it was getting a bit too much sun, so I think this will be a better spot for it. The soil was very dry, so I will need to bring the water hose over to this one. I also wanted to show you the only hydrangea macrophylla that I have in my garden, and it is so beautiful. Look at the new growth on this. Isn't that pretty? Unfortunately, I have not seen this bloom since I put it in the ground because the deer were eating it. So I relocated it this spring over to this more sheltered location that's kind of out of sight. So the deer really don't come over here. So I'm kind of hoping that that will allow me to see it bloom next season. Anyways, when I was over here looking at it, I just happened to notice there's a weed growing up through it. Do you see it? Here we go. And this might actually be a Clethra. So I think I'm going to dig this up and see if this is actually one that I can plant in my garden. This does not want to come out. This is definitely a Clethra. Oh my goodness. All right, I ended up taking out hydrangea roots. Okay, so that didn't go as planned. I definitely didn't get the whole root on this one. And I took out some hydrangea roots in the process. The song sparrow is very happy right now. When I relocated the hydrangea, it was actually planted next to a Clethra. So I think this one must have just had a runner that came up with it. Okay. Got all those roots untangled. This is definitely a Clethra. Look at the leaves here. It goes crazy in part shade locations, so I definitely wanted to get this out sooner than later. Unfortunately, the root snapped as I was pulling it out, so there's probably going to be another plant that comes up in the hydrangea again in the future. Such great native plants. I just did a video on this plant. Actually, it's in a pollinator shrub video, and I will link that video up here in the corner if you haven't seen that one yet. That video is a great one if you're interested in supporting our pollinators. It has many varieties that are just great for your southern gardens. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and put this in a pot. I think I'm going to end up planting this up on my slope. That's the plan, at least. This is just a mix of compost and pine bark. I'm just going to kind of set it in the pot like this. And this should not miss a beat. It is such a tough shrub. I think I decided I'm going to give it a little bit of a slow release fertilizer, not too much. I typically just have this Osmocote on hand for when I do some seedlings. So now we will have a new Clethra plant. It feels so good to get some cleanup done in the garden. I'm just so happy with what I was able to accomplish today. So that's the end of my first cleanup video, and I'm sure there will be plenty more after this. I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.